You're listening to Catholic Chicago. Ahead, the Archdiocese of Chicago brings you programs about the people, events, and issues that touch our lives. Welcome to Catholic Chicago.
Good morning. Welcome to Catholic Chicago on WNDZ, 750 AM, 312-255-8408. You can also catch us on youtube.com/Catholic Chicago. Father Greg Sacco is the rector of Holy Name Cathedral, and co-host Mark Teresi, executive director of the cathedral. Good morning, Mark. How was your weekend?
Good morning. It was very good. You know, we were chatting on the way over. We went to All Saints. My mother-in-law died 7 years ago on Saturday. So we went, and then the family went out for lunch. But, you know, she died 2 weeks after our first grandchild was born.
I find it so interesting that many times a loved one dies, and within a month, a new one is born.
Yeah.
It happened in my own
amazing.
family. My Uncle Ted died, and 3 weeks later, my sister had her oldest daughter, Michelle, so from death to life. And
yeah,
it's
very,
very
amazing.
common. It's very amazing that way. And so 7 years since Mary's mom passed away.
Time just flies.
Oh, it doesn't seem that long. Well, look, it's already Friday is April Fool's Day, and a couple of weeks away from, less than 2 weeks away from Holy Week, and then Easter.
We can do a shout out to a mutual friend of ours. April 1st is Joe Binder's birthday.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, so if he's listening.
Hey, Joe, if you're listening out there, happy 67th birthday.
67.
We have a great program lined up, and for this first half hour, again, 312-255-8408. Unlocking Communities equips entrepreneurs with the education and tools to sell sustainable products that unlock economic, social, and environmental transformation in their communities. Through focusing on entrepreneurship development, water filtration, system production, community needs response, and global financing, UC has impacted over 130,000 people since 2018, which is, Mark, is incredible in 4 years. Our guest, Josh Glorski. Good morning, Josh. How are you?
Good morning.
Good morning,
it's good
Josh.
to see you both virtually. Wish we could all be together in person. Hopefully soon we can be.
Maybe it'll happen one day. And Josh, you always have that wonderful smile. And are we calling you? Are you from home right now?
Yes, I'm in Chicago at the moment, but I will be headed to Warsaw later this week and was in Guatemala City last week.
You were in Guatemala City last week.
Mm-hmm.
Where you're getting around. Well, first of all, with Unlocking Communities, many of our listeners are unaware of this tremendous program, tremendous project you've undertaken going back to 2018. Give us the history, and how did it even begin? How did you even get this idea?
Great. Thank you, Father Greg. Great to see you, Mark, again, too. Unlocking Communities began, and the idea began when a Catholic priest stayed with my family when I was about 8 years old. And ironically enough, the priest, I actually gave up my bedroom and slept in the guest bedroom so the priest could have a bigger bedroom because he was in town for a week. And in talking with him that trip, and then when I was a kid, it left a really memorable impression on me. And then in high school, I got a chance to go to Haiti and saw the work being done there through the Catholic Church and through other organizations, and really realized what a force for good the Catholic Church is around the world. And then got to go back in college with my Jesuit university. And that's where the idea for Unlocking Communities first began, was with the Jesuit school and talking about how do you recognize solidarity, preferential option for the poor, And they came up with the idea, we came up together with the idea for small business loans and selling water filtration systems on that trip. I would do it as like a little side project for a while, but then went on to found Unlocking Communities in 2018. And since then, we've scaled to now over $1 million a year. Budget wise, we're looking to scale like 3 or 4 times that within the next year or two.
Now, before Mark hops in here, I need to ask this question, Josh. Here you are, an 8-year-old boy. Priest comes to visit in your home for a week. He talks about his ministry in the community back home where he was from. But what was it within you that was so touched by that not only did it you say, whoa, what a great story, what a great priest, what a great mission and ministry he does, but somehow it stayed with you and affected your life. It changed your life at such an early age.
Yeah, what a great question. And I think it's a lot the family element too. And so my mom got involved in Haiti, and she found ways for us to get connected at an early age. We were selling coffee that was grown in Haiti. I remember many Sundays after Mass, me and my sisters, none of us even had drink coffee at this time in our lives, and probably still don't, but we were selling coffee that was grown in Haiti by the local people there. And, we thought it was just something fun to do, but my parents made volunteering fun. I always say that volunteering is made fun because if you can make volunteering fun, it really instills you never to count your volunteer hours, but just to give back as part of life. And my parents really instilled that. And you can see on the screen now, for those of you watching virtually, some of the backdrops of Haiti. And when I went, I was amazed at the beautiful country that it is. So, yes.
Now, what did you see when you went on your first trip to Haiti, Josh? What did you see? Was it a surprise to you, the poverty? Was it something you were prepared for?
So I think I knew a little bit about it because my mom had been, but also like there's a theory out there that says the first time you go to like a developing country, don't learn too much about it and let it kind of somewhat surprise you too, because then you can be fully open and not come in with any preconceptions. So I really tried to subscribe to that theory. I distinctly remember this conversation, actually. I haven't thought about it in a while, but just to go in with kind of a fresh eye, so you're really open. And yeah, it struck me, the poverty, but also like the impact a parish can have abroad. Our church at that time had worked for so long in this town, and they had, made a big impact. They, of course, have had a lot of failed projects over the years, but the church, St. Thomas the Apostle in Naperville, actually is a twinning parish with the parish in Duchedy, Haiti. They had made a big impact. There was a health clinic built, schools built, like quality education was being provided for all. Of course, like once you take care of some of the basic human needs, you get down to the next level of needs, such as economic development and job creation and some of those, which is what Unlocking Communities really works to address.
Do you remember in the parish, where did that leadership come from? I mean, that's a huge jump, because usually, not usually, but many times in parishes, the needs we look at are local. We don't look at the global needs. So how did that happen?
So the parish was already fairly progressive. This is back in like the mid-90s. They had a director of social justice on staff who was Sister Marlene. Shout out to her.
Now, what parish was this, by the way, Josh?
St. Thomas the Apostle in Naperville.
In Naperville, okay.
They had a sister. I can't remember. I'm drawing she's from the Chicago area, but she was the director of outreach and social justice at the parish, and she was the one who really charted the course for the parish, both in locally doing food pantry work, job creation, homelessness prevention in Chicago, in the Naperville area, but also like doing the abroad work. And I remember she was the one who really championed this work. And to this day,
well, then the thing is, when you went to Haiti for the first time, and I love that comment about don't go in with too many preconceived notions, but be open to the Spirit, open to the people, learn from them, listen and learn from them. This whole structure you've created about water. So you go over there and you just see that people are lacking clean water. So did you know this going ahead of time? Did you have this idea going into there, or did people say, we need water?
So that's a great question. And it's really interesting because the issue that I went in college to look at was actually business creation and how do you help, especially the young people, get access to capital to create small businesses. And we were all business students at the time, so found that to be very interesting. At the same time, I had known that water had been a challenge in this town. But at this time, development theory had kind of changed and really focused on research shows that if you would just give away a free water filter to everyone in the town, it won't be used long term, right? They won't value it. They won't fully get educated on it. And so our church was smart enough not to just give away the water filters to everyone in the town, but to be able to focus on like what are some sustainable ways to do it. And so at that time of the trip, we actually coupled the business training then that the young people were asking for with a need for water. And someone said they knew about these water filters that were produced in the Dominican Republic and wondered if they could start like selling them in their community because they liked how they were locally, could be one day even locally made in Haiti, which is what we're working towards right now.
Now, your work reminded me years ago, the Archdiocese had a mission in Quetzaltenango, Mexico, and I visited 3 times. And first time what I learned was water is a very political issue, especially in that town where, I mean, I won't go into that other than my question would be, how do you work with the political systems there? You know, you're coming from somewhere else. You're trying to help their people. Do you have to do some tap dancing in those systems?
So luckily, you know, the Haitians see this as an all Haitian run project. So our team, I was just messaging them this morning, they just started 2 new communities this weekend. So we just entered 2 new parishes in Haiti to sell water filters through their parish and through their entire community, working primarily through the Catholic churches as our entry points.
Oh, okay.
But so we entered 2 new communities. So most of our communities, until they come to the manager training, if I'm there, they don't know that like an American is necessarily behind this. They see it as they should as the Haitian run business too. In Haiti, because there is no management of the water in most of the rural communities, there's no government management of the water filtration system. It's a lot less of a political topic than it has been in some communities. There's not necessarily a lack of water. There's a lack of clean water and proximity to water.
Good.
Great question.
That's a good insight. You know, we're going to take a little break, Josh. WNDZ 750 AM, Catholic Chicago, 312-255-8408. Or you can go to youtube.com/Catholic Chicago. In a few minutes, we'll be back to discuss with Josh Goralski Unlocking Communities, the latest projects that he is working on for the benefit of our global community. We'll be back in a few minutes. Please stay tuned.
Did you know that Catholic Charities accepts car donations? If you're ready to free up space in your garage and put a stop to all those expenses that go along with owning a car, we will gratefully accept your donation, whether the car is running or not. You choose a pickup time that is convenient for you, and we will make the donation as easy as possible, free of charge. You'll receive a charitable donation receipt as well. We accept all types of vehicles nationwide, and you will know that your donation is made to Catholic Charities, an agency you can trust. To learn more about donating your car, call 877-786-4483. That's 877-786-4483. Thank you.
I feel special. I feel great. I got good grades.
We've seen a huge surge in our kids now meeting or exceeding grade level. Come check us out. You may have never thought we were an option before.
We are hiring. Catholic Charities of the Archdiocese of Chicago is looking for mission-driven individuals who want to help make a positive difference in the lives of people in need throughout Cook and Lake counties. Be part of a diverse, talented team of professionals in the largest human services organization in the Midwest. We are dedicated to helping people chart a more stable, happier future for themselves, and we accompany anyone in need, regardless of faith, gender, race, or ethnicity. Competitive salaries and generous benefits add to the satisfaction you'll have every day knowing that you're helping us amplify our impact in Chicago. To see our list of employment opportunities, visit CatholicCharities.net.
We're back, WNDZ, 750 AM, Catholic Chicago, on 312-255-8408, or you can go to youtube.com/Catholic Chicago. We're here with Josh Gorelski talking about unlocking communities. Father Greg, you have a question?
Yeah, Josh, and just listening to you, which is a marvelous story, in all the work you've done in Haiti since this began, how has this ministry touched and changed your life?
Great question. And I think, well, Haiti holds a very, very deep and special place in my heart because of the people that I have met there. I was actually just messaging my country director, Ernso. It's the chance to do cross-cultural learning that has really impacted me. When I got to bring a good friend of mine who actually lives in Ukraine to Haiti, I was just texting my country director now about he was wondering how she was doing. And then for the opportunity to get to bring my country director, Ernso, to Kenya as we're starting operations in Kenya and Ghana soon through local partner organizations there. I am excited to get the chance to bring him and to facilitate deeper cross-cultural learning so that our impact not just be in Haiti, but it can be globally as well. And I met this fantastic young Jesuit priest in Nairobi, Kenya, and through a friend, and he is just what gives me a lot of hope for the Catholic Church and how he's helping manage the finances for all these rural Jesuit parishes and schools across East Africa. And we were talking about how this program integrate through those schools and churches. It was just a really exciting conversation.
So I would see that I would call you a modern day missionary, using technology. Give people a little bit of your background too. I mean, you haven't. This is not all of your talents.
Josh is a computer guru.
Right. I mean, you kind of see the world probably through some of those lenses.
Yeah. I mean, so one of the things that's actually made us really successful in Haiti is we implemented an app to monitor all of our sales in these rural communities. And even though they don't have internet, they can still type in the data on the app and then it syncs when they have internet access because internet's pretty unstable. Previously to working at the Y, I got my previously to unlocking communities, I was working at the National YMCA and worked for Holy Name Cathedral actually for a little while and Old St. Pat's, and did my master's in social justice at Loyola Chicago. So the deep kind of Catholic social justice roots, but I've been working for the social sector for over a decade now and continue giving back in Chicago, doing a little bit of work in North Lawndale and a little bit of work with the YMCA of Chicago right now as well.
So you're a young adult, you're involved in missionary work. You see where we are as a church right now. What do we need to be about in terms of attracting? We had to renew my church meeting. Every parish involved that day said we need to attract young adults to the church. It's an issue for all the parishes in the downtown area as we're talking about it. What do we need to do?
I humbly think that it's work like myself and work like how do you live out the Catholic mission through an organization like Unlocking Communities and find a way to live it out through your daily life or get people involved outside of that. I know I've gotten a lot of my friends and spoken at a number of the Catholic churches in the Chicago area, and a lot of the young adults come up to me afterwards and they're like, if I don't want to make this my full-time job, like how do I get engaged in a ministry, whether it be a Catholic ministry or a lay ministry, right? But that's driven by the same Catholic social teaching tenets. And a lot of young adults have been inspired, and I've spoken to many about like, how do you live out an organization when, being just a Catholic organization in some of the context that we work might divide us more than it unites us, but that our organization can be Catholic informed and grounded in the Catholic social teachings is really able to reunite all the different branches of Christianity that are in rural Haiti. And we have voodoo priests that work with us in Haiti, and Catholic priests and Protestant priests, and they all work together for the betterment goal of their communities. And I think in terms of young adults, like they're looking to see that, or they're looking to see how the church is engaging in social issues locally and globally. It's becoming a bigger thing for them at their employers. I was hearing that even if young adults don't donate to charity, most of them will still look and see if their employer does or not.
Along those lines, Josh, you are the founder and CEO of Unlocking Communities. So is this your full-time job right now?
Yes.
And for those that are watching, you had said that with a smile, which means it's like 2 full-time jobs.
Yeah, at the moment, yeah, it is.
But now you said you were in Guatemala. You want to start a community in gathering in Kenya. So you are now going beyond the work in Haiti. Are you gonna go into Guatemala and Kenya?
So Guatemala is actually where one of our partners is based that manufactures the filters we use in Haiti. But we're working, the big things for Unlocking Communities this year is working to build a factory in Haiti to produce the water filtration systems, and then to start expanding our work across the continent of Africa, because there's multiple partners who called us and asked for our expertise. So as I mentioned, we have an active partnership in Kenya and in Ghana right now. We're beginning one.
So this is just an observation from knowing you for a while. You don't have any fear of jumping in and figuring out what's next. Is that just a personality trait, or did you learn that somewhere, or is it because when you jump in now, you always do have a positive spin and a positive direction on what you're doing?
I think, and I subscribe to in philanthropy people like Mackenzie Scott, who are giving away all this money at once. The theory that like if we have the knowledge of how to solve some of the biggest social issues in the world, right? Like we know the answer to clean water and getting everyone in the world clean water. To me, there should be no one dying of clean water in any day in the future, because we know that everyone either needs a water filtration system or they need piped access to clean water, ideally both of them long term. And if we don't dream big and look at what's next, my model is looking at like, how do we reach 50 million people in the next 5 years, 100 million people? We're talking to funders who can do that. And now with more people wanting to go carbon neutral, something I don't think I've mentioned on this show before is each water filtration system we sell is equivalent to eliminating 2 tons of CO2 emissions into the air. And companies who are wanting to go carbon neutral also want to support that work because they want the carbon offsets from it too. So there's just a multifaceted fold. And I think there's a unique opportunity with the different funding landscapes and also with the affordability of the products to really rapidly scale this. And I kept looking and no one's tried this before. So I think the time is right to try this type of
stuff. Now, Josh, along those lines, connect the work you do, which is a marvelous ministry, way of life, modern day, as Mark says, missionary. Connect all this with your faith journey.
So for me, it's, I had a priest that growing up that said like, church isn't what you do 1 hour a week. It's what you do the other the rest of the week, from 10 a.m. on Sunday morning till 9 a.m. the next Sunday morning when you come back. And that is church. And so I really see this as my church lived out. It's my dad's legacy, who's now passed away, and my mom. They really instilled social justice. And I think, if our lives are measured by the impact we leave on the world, then let my impact be in the space of clean water and economic empowerment for rural communities.
So I'll ask this.
Amazing response.
Yeah, I'll ask this instead of Greg asking it. You keep saying these priests have had an influence, all during the show. Have you ever thought about that call to priesthood?
So I have, but in talking to priests, it feels almost more constraining to do the work than to be a priest and to do it, because of the structures that you have to operate with inside of at times. But
that's not what I asked you. I asked you, have you ever felt that call?
Josh, remember, Mark is a tough reporter. He gets right down to the hard questions.
That's what I'm interested in. Have you ever thought this ministry connects in some way to the priesthood?
I have not personally.
Okay.
No.
But it's interesting when you talk about.
I know people who have. I know others who have in Haiti and seen that.
And I think, along those lines, we'll run out of time here, Josh. If people would like to make a contribution to your marvelous ministry, how can they do so? Give us a web, give us a phone number.
Yeah, so great question. You can go to the website, unlockingcommunities.org/donate, or there's a donate button at the homepage of Unlocking Communities.
Give it one more time.
Unlockingcommunities.org, and click on the donate button. For those of you watching the live stream, it's up on the screen right now.
Okay.
And then there's also an address on the website if you want to mail a check, or you can also make a donation via calling phone at 630-303-7259.
That number once again, Josh.
630-303-7259.
Now, before we close, any closing thoughts or remarks that you'd like to share with our listeners? As Mark and I have interviewed you and talked with you this morning, you are just so energized, and you've given your life to this. We're not talking part-time, but I find fascinating, Mark, is, Josh, you could be earning big money in the corporate world with your computer mind and just your goodness. You can be making a lot of money running a different type of company for a heck of a lot more money, but you've chosen this. So any closing remarks for our listeners? How would you like to leave today's program?
Just if you could all just take a look at our website, right? Like, if it's not our work, like, think about where you're most passionate and get involved. I was reading something yesterday that said, like, because we are in the United States, like, we are blessed with a position to be generous. And it is because of people's generosity that enables me to do this work. And we gain sustainability as we scale, but we still need everyone's support. So if it's not our work, if it's locally, like, find a way to get involved and understand, because, not every organization is created equal. There are certainly some that are better than others at truly tackling the systemic roots of poverty. And I believe that's what our Catholic faith calls us to examine, is what is that preferential option for the poor, and how do we acknowledge everyone's dignity in sustainably solving these challenges?
It's a beautiful close. Again, give us the website and phone number one more time, Josh.
Sure. Unlocking Communities, all one word, .org. And the phone number is 630-303-7259.
I want to thank in a very special way Josh Golorski, the CEO and founder of Unlocking Communities. Josh, you've inspired me, and I've heard the story before, but it's never told again the exact same way. So, Josh, keep up the great ministry, the great work you do, and God bless you. Also, stay with us. Our phone number is 312-255-8408. You can get us on youtube.com/CatholicChicago, WNDZ 750 AM. Father Greg Sackwitz along with Mark Teresi. Stay with us, and again, do not touch that dial.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Greg.
Thank you.
At Catholic Charities, we fight hunger in Chicago throughout the year. Our 6 regional offices in Cook and Lake counties work together to offer sit-down and to-go meals to anyone in need. We deliver meals to those who are homebound, and our 8 food pantries offer 3 to 4 days of food supplies based on household size. Participants in these programs have the opportunity to learn about other Catholic charity services that strengthen individuals, families, and their communities. The challenges for those dealing with food insecurity are especially great during the winter months. To learn how you can help those who are hungry in your neighborhood, visit CatholicCharities.net or call 312-655-7525. That's 312-655-7525. Thank you for your generosity.
I am a seminarian.
The church needs compassionate and well-trained priests to help guide each of us through life.
What inspires me, what draws me always to the priesthood is continue to see priests be a beacon of hope for other people.
You can play a part in the education of these young men as they prepare for a life of service to others.
I want to be that beacon of hope too, and it sets my heart on fire.
To support our seminarians, make your gift at archchicago.org/seminarian fund or call 312-534-7959.
At Catholic Charities, we want to remind you that we are here for anyone who is a victim of domestic violence or anyone who has a concern about someone they think may be a victim. Domestic violence affects millions of people each year, both women and men, of every race, religion, culture, and economic status. It includes physical, psychological, and emotional abuse, inflicted in both subtle and overt ways. The impact on children can be devastating. If you or someone you know are victims of domestic violence and you are looking for a place for healing and recovery, call us at 773-935-3434 in Cook County and 224-430-4977 in Lake County. A safer, happier tomorrow can begin today.
The cemetery ministry is a core ministry of our Catholic faith tied to the corporal works of mercy. It's comforting to know that our Catholic cemeteries are caring for the remains of our loved ones awaiting the resurrection. There are 44 Archdiocese of Chicago Catholic cemeteries willing to help you in your time of loss. Call 708-449-6100 or visit CatholicCemeteriesChicago.org. Catholic Cemeteries, serving the Catholic community since 1837.
You're listening to Catholic Chicago. Ahead, the Archdiocese of Chicago brings you programs about the people, events, and issues that touch our lives. Thanks for letting us be part of your morning. Now again, Catholic Chicago.
Welcome back to Catholic Chicago on WNDZ, 750 AM, 312-255-8408. Get us also on YouTube.com/Catholic Chicago. Father Greg Sakowitz along with Mark Teresi. Mark, that was an excellent first half hour with Josh.
Yeah, he's very
committed. He's passionate.
He's a modern-day missionary.
He is. It was just a great program and very enjoyable, like the second half will be. Each year we follow the Passion of Christ in the heart of our city, where thousands of people carry their cross every day. Through choral music, gospel passages, reflections, and our silent procession, we hope to enter more deeply into the events of Good Friday and their meaning for us today. We ask to experience the exceptional presence of Christ among us as a real answer to the needs of our hearts. For the second of our program, which deals with the Way of the Cross in downtown Chicago, Bishop Mark Bartosik, Bishop of Vicaria II, tremendous, wonderful priest and bishop of the Archdiocese, Sepha Skeen and Therese Black. Welcome to the program this morning, Bishop Bartosik, Sepha, and Therese. Good morning. We don't seem to go there. You are good. All smiley faces. Well, the thing is, I know the Way of the Cross, downtown Chicago, has been with us for some years. It didn't happen last year and the year before because of COVID-19. I'm positive in 2020 it did not happen because all churches were closed. And I'm not sure if it happened last year, but who among you can give us the history of the Way of the Cross downtown Chicago?
Probably me. I've been here the longest. We began our first year where we began publicly doing the Way of the Cross in downtown was in 2005. We had been doing it on the campus of University of Illinois Chicago because we were friends with Father Pat Marshall, who was the chaplain of the Newman Center then. And then in 2005, Good Friday, they were on spring break, so it made no sense. And so we thought, well, what can we do? And we decided to go public downtown. And it was very small that year, maybe 30, 40 people. We didn't have permits. It was a horrible, foggy, snowy day, windy. And the police started following us and blocking traffic for us as we crossed the street. It was very moving. So that's when we began. And once we started, it seemed important to keep going as a witness to the city.
And then Bishop Bartosik, first of all, it's always great to be with the bishop. He's got a great sense of humor, a man of profound faith, deep faith. And Bishop Bartosik, you're doing a great job in Vicariate too, because the cathedral is part of that. And what has been, Mark, your involvement with this whole downtown Way of the Cross?
Well, I have been friends for years with a family that I met in my very first parish. So that goes back about 28 years. And I knew that a couple of them belonged to Communion and Liberation, the lay ecclesial movement within the church. And finally, I guess it was 2019, the last Way of the Cross before the pandemic, they reached out to me and asked me to provide the reflections along the way for the Way of the Cross in downtown Chicago. And so I prepared something, and I didn't know what to expect at all. I got out of the car at the Daily Center, Daily Plaza, and I was just immediately sort of enveloped by these wonderful people who had put the Way of the Cross together, and it was just tremendously prayerful, and that invitation led to others. And I've gotten to know a lot of the people in the movement, and am very enthusiastic about the witness, as Therese said, the witness to Jesus crucified and risen from the dead that the Way of the Cross provides for the city.
Beautiful. Sepha, how are you involved?
So I've been part of the Way of the Cross as a choir member since around 2011. Now, I had participated as a member of the congregation before that, but this was really the way I became involved with Communion and Liberation. And in preparation for the choir part of the Way of the Cross, I met these people and had done some reading. I never left after that first Way of the Cross in Chicago. I started going to the weekly meetings and became more and more involved. I really, truly missed in the last 2 years this witness, this thing that we do together, and I'm very excited to be preparing for it again.
Beautiful, beautiful. You know, we're going to take a little break. Father Greg has to head out, but then we're going to come back and continue our conversation. WNDZ 750 AM, Catholic Chicago, 312-255-8408, or you can go to youtube.com/Catholic Chicago. We'll be back with Bishop Mark Bartosik, Sepha Skeen, Therese Black, and we're going to continue our discussion on the Way of the Cross. When we come back, I'd like to discuss how this really does model the Via Dolorosa in the Holy Land. We were fortunate enough to be in the Holy Land. It's in the middle of the marketplace, and here's where you're replicating this beautiful Way of the Cross. We'll be back in a few minutes. Please stay tuned.
Catholic Charities Veterans Employment Services help veterans find and maintain employment through job readiness training, resume writing assistance, mock interviews, and job placement counseling. We work with a wide array of employers and community partners to help veterans reach their career goals. We owe a debt of gratitude to all of our veterans for the sacrifices they made to serve our nation. It is our privilege now to assist them. To learn more about Catholic Charities Veterans Employment Program in Cook County, call 773-808-2954. In Lake County, call 847-782-4219. You can also learn more at CatholicCharities.net. To all United States veterans, thank you for your service.
Welcome back.
Es fabuloso verlos.
Dobrze jest znowu być razem.
It's good to be together again.
After so many months apart, pandemic capacity limits have been lifted, and we want to welcome everyone back to church. We can all pray together again. And listen as our choirs lift their voices in song.
We've been together in spirit.
And now, when you are ready, our doors are open wide.
Nuestras puertas están abiertas de par en par.
Nasze drzwi są otwarte.
And we're here to welcome you back to Catholic Mass.
Do you have an old bicycle that's not being used? Consider donating it to Catholic Charities Veterans Bike Project of Lake County. Skilled volunteers are refurbishing bicycles to make them safe and ready to be used by veterans to get to and from their new places of work. We also gratefully accept financial contributions that are used to purchase bike helmets and other safety accessories. Our veterans have faithfully served the United States, and now it is our privilege to serve them. For more information on the Veterans Bike Project of Lake County, call 847-782-4219. That's 847-782-4219.
We're back. WNDZ 750 AM, Catholic Chicago, 312-255-8408, or you can go to youtube.com/Catholic Chicago. Just for our listeners and for our guests today, Father Greg had to head back to Holy Name. They're taping the Sunday Mass with the Cardinals, so he asked me to continue, and he left a question, which I'm going to save for a little bit later. What I would like to do is make sure, first of all, people get the details. So it's the Way of the Cross, downtown Chicago, Good Friday. Maybe, Therese, give people specifics.
We gather at 8:30, and then the choral music and the readings, the introduction actually begins at 8:45. 9 o'clock, we begin walking. And we walk from the Daily Center to the Veterans Plaza on the river, and then to the Wrigley Building, to the Water Tower, and we arrive at Holy Name Cathedral at approximately 11:40, where we have the final station.
And I had mentioned before the break, we were fortunate when I was at Mundelein to bring a group twice to the Holy Land, and this route reminded me of the Via Dolorosa, the Way of the Cross. It's in the middle of commerce. It's in the middle of people purchasing things, and maybe Bishop Bartosa, could you reflect a little bit on that, the similarity of the walk? I mean, we're walking through our city, through a commercial district. We're putting Jesus right in the middle of all that.
Sure. I agree with you, Mark. I would also say Jesus puts himself in the middle of all that, right? Because that's where he wants to be. He wants to be in the very middle of our lives. I heard the other day in connection with Renew My Church that the main thing for us Christians is always to declare Jesus as risen from the dead. And if we forget that, we forget our own identity. And he becomes one with our suffering, right? That's the meaning of the crucifixion and the death of Jesus, that he becomes one with us through embracing everything about our life, the commerce, the relationships, the disappointments. And in walking through the middle of the city, which has lots of suffering in it and lots of issues that need to be addressed, he shows us that we're not alone. And he shows himself in solidarity with us in the middle of our daily life.
Beautiful. Now, I'm going to ask Father Greg's question, and I'll start with Sepha. How has this involvement in the Way of the Cross touched your life?
It profoundly changed it. I met this group of people that are my friends, that are people I want to be with as much as possible outside my family. And it's changed my relationship with Christ. My focus is much more on my relationship with God than it was before. It's central. And so I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what to add to that. It's part of my daily life.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Therese, what about you?
For me, it's really helped me be more public with my faith. I remember the first time in 2005 when we were downtown, and at that time we started in Millennium Park. And when we came out in Millennium Park and hit Michigan Avenue, I thought like, oh no, now we're like really public here. And I'm a pretty shy person, pretty private, and it was a little scary actually. But now I invite people I work with. I just find it's helped me be more open and missionary with my faith and with my witness. I'm a teacher. Students of mine have come to it, and so in that way in particular, I see like it's helped me grow.
Teresa, where do you teach?
I teach at Trinity High School.
Oh, beautiful. Now, what about your students' reactions? Have you picked up any of their thoughts about being involved with something like this?
Most of them, when they've come like with youth groups from their parishes. They're teenagers. They find it long. It's often cold. But they, it's new for them too to be so public.
Yes, yes.
It's very different than just going and doing service work somewhere. Here you're just, it's just very clear. We're following this cross, and what we believe is on full display.
No.
And I think that's not something that we're always very comfortable with as Catholics. And so I find for them and for me that this is worthwhile for sure. It also helps us live this day in a way that for me, I'm not a super disciplined person, and it helps me live the Triduum in a very concrete way that I find very useful.
Beautiful. Bishop Mark, what about you in terms of how has this involvement with the Way of the Cross touched your life?
A couple things. First of all, in introducing me to the members of Communion and Liberation, I was just delighted and so inspired by the number of young families that are involved, young couples with lots of children, or people who are just starting their families, and the readiness and the transparency with which people witness to their belief in Jesus in very ordinary ways, right? I mean, in totally ordinary ways, people talking about how Jesus has made a difference in their life, the difference, I would say, in their life. So the witness of the people in the movement, and then the ability to connect other people to it. So I did the reflections 2 years ago. Last year, we did something at, because we couldn't be outside, we did something at the Basilica, Our Lady of Sorrows, and another priest of my acquaintance did the reflections. This year, it's going to be Father Danstrom from the JP2 Center at the University of Illinois Circle campus. So it's just really fun to connect people to a movement that has so much youth and vitality,
yes,
and yet fun. I mean, just incredible amount. These people really know how to have fun. It's just the coolest thing.
That's neat. That's neat. Now Connor Danstrom is going to be giving. Maybe, Therese, just when does that happen? When do these comments occur? Do you have like a traveling? I'm always interested in technical stuff. Now, do you have a traveling microphone or speakers, or how do people hear him? And do you do like the 14 stations, or maybe a little bit more about the program itself?
Okay, so we don't do 14 stations.
No.
It's a little, we do 5 stations. And at each station, we walk in silence between the stations. In the midst of all this noise and chaos, we walk in silence. And then when we get to the station, there's choral music. We have a beautiful choir with both Bishop Bartasik and Seifa singing. And we do have a sound system. We have many young men running ahead of us to set it up so that when we arrive, it's there. And at each station, there's choral music. There's a gospel reading. There are some other readings by various people. Father Giussani, who's the founder of our movement. Charles Péguy, who's a French Catholic convert from early 20th century. I think there's one by Oscar Miloš. And so these just help us enter into the station. And very often the choral readings and the choral music and the readings take the viewpoint of Mary, actually. So there's a sense of really
beautiful
experiencing this, some of it at least through Mary's eyes. And there's a reflection. So there's a gospel reading, and then the priest will give a reflection. So each station lasts quite a while.
And people can connect. So you start at the Daily Plaza, then move to the Veterans Memorial, then Wrigley Building, then the Water Tower, and back, and then to Holy Name. So if people can't do the whole walk, they can look at those locations and maybe connect at different spots during it. I'm curious about the music. Music's kind of my background. Seifa, how does that the choral thing work? Can people join? Is there a rehearsal? How does that work?
There are a couple of pieces that are very familiar. We start with Were You There? We end with Lift High the Cross. But a lot of the music is not like the whole group will sing. We have one song that is Marian, that is sung in Polish, that sometimes some Polish people in the community will join us in singing.
Beautiful.
but it's a lot of it because the movement is from Italy, and because of its history. There's a lot of Latin songs. We sing Crux Fidelis at every station, and start with Attende Domine, wait for the Lord. And so it's not a sing-along exactly, except for those few pieces, which are really moving when everyone does sing.
Beautiful, beautiful. Let's do this. Go ahead.
Can I just pop in,
Sure.
Mark, that we do rehearse every Sunday afternoon, so you're welcome to join our rehearsals. Anybody who joins the rehearsals.
Where are the rehearsals?
At Teresa's house.
Oh. Well, maybe before we close, maybe each of you, I'll ask each of you to do your own personal invite to our listeners to come and be a part of this. Teresa, why don't you start?
Every year, literally 500 people show up for this, and we're very small here in Chicago, so we don't know who all these people are. Come join them. It's a great to our city. We see people on Michigan Avenue explaining to their young children what this procession is. We see businessmen running across the street to a meeting and making the sign of the cross. It's a beautiful witness to our city, and everyone in the city is welcome.
Beautiful.
And we invite you to carry the cross, or to stand with the cross at each station, particularly if you have a particular heavy cross that you've been carrying. That is something that you just need to walk up to the person standing there and ask if you can carry the cross.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Safa, what about you? Your invite to folks.
Well, I am here and part of this group because someone invited me to the Way of the Cross.
Mm-hmm.
And because when I inquired about it, someone accepted me to the choir and said, well, come. So I want to invite people in the same way. It's very moving. It changes the way that you look at the city. When I walk the same path, on other days, it's like, yes, I remember this. It affects the way that I relate to the other people around me.
That's a great insight. I want to get Bishop Bartosik's invite in before we have to wrap it up.
The movement started with Father Giussani's charism for college students. So groups of students are especially welcome to the Way of the Cross. We're reaching out to the Ukrainian community, carrying a particularly heavy cross this season. Immigrants, and also to people who have come out of detention through Colby House, the jail ministry of the Archdiocese. So we're hoping to see groups of people from those different communities that have to deal with suffering as we all do. So all are welcome.
Beautiful. Thank you. Well, I'd like to thank our guest, Bishop Mark Bartosik, Safa Skeen, Teresa Black, who are instrumental in promoting and also being involved in making the Way of the Cross in downtown Chicago on Good Friday available to all of us. It's April 15th, gathering at 8:30 at the Daily Plaza. The stops will be Daily Plaza, Veterans Memorial, Wrigley Building, Water Tower Plaza, and Holy Name Cathedral. So thank you, everyone, for listening today. Catholic Chicago, WNDZ, 750 AM. Or you can go to youtube.com/Catholic Chicago and listen to this program, view this program maybe later today if you have some time. I'd like to thank Brian Brock, Michael Meyer for producing this program, and thank Father Greg for coming over, and wish him well this week. Blessings to all of you, and have a great day. God bless.